Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone. Today's topic is how to speak more of your target language, specificity, and can-do checklists. How much of your target language can you speak right now? If your answer is not much, there is a way to speak more, even if you're learning on your own. In this episode, you'll discover 1. How specific goals can get you speaking more, and 2. How you can apply this learning tactic with our learning program or any other resource. But first, listen up. Here are this month's new lessons and resources. First, the Going Sightseeing Conversation Cheat Sheet. What country or city would you like to visit? With this PDF cheat sheet, you'll be able to talk about where you want to go, and you'll master all the common words and phrases for sightseeing. Second, the Most Common Nouns PDF ebook. You'll master over 90 common nouns with this bonus PDF picture ebook. You can download and review on any device. Third, can you talk about hairstyles? Would you be able to get a haircut in your target language? If not, then this 1-minute lesson is just what you need. Fourth, phrases to use with your doctor. I have an appointment. I don't feel well. My throat hurts. You'll learn how to say these phrases and much more. Fifth, can you talk about books in your target language? Learn how to say novel, author, thriller, and much more with this quick vocab bonus. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. How to speak more of your target language, specificity and can-do checklists. Every learner wants to speak more in their target language, and yet speaking is almost always the weakest skill for most learners. So, how do you fix this? How do you speak more? Keep watching. These tips will apply to solo learners and those with a conversation partner. First, let's put language learning aside. Let's say you wanted to speak more about a certain topic in your native language. What would that depend on? The length of that conversation depends on how much you know about that topic, right? If you don't know much, that conversation won't last long. If you know a lot, you could go on for hours. It's the same with language learning. The more words and phrases you know around a certain topic, the more you can speak. It's a top-down approach. Pick a topic, for example, weather, and work your way down. Learn the relevant words, phrases, and questions for that topic. For example, what's the weather like? It's nice weather. It's sunny. It's windy. I like sunny weather. I don't like rain. The more lines you come up with, the more you'll be able to talk about the weather in your target language. The point is, if you want to speak more, you should start with a specific topic. Sounds obvious, right? So why don't most learners do this? Most learners don't do this because they're just passively following a learning resource without going after what they specifically want. It's much easier to follow a textbook than to stop, think about what you want to talk about, and go off in that direction. Of course, you should keep using your textbook or other existing resource. You can do both. Follow a resource and pursue specific topics. But here are a few reasons why this tactic is so powerful. First, specific goals always beat vague goals. For example, between setting goals like, I want to save money, and I want to save $50, you're more likely to succeed with the $50 goal. But because you have a specific number to look for and measure, you won't stop until that $0 becomes $10, then $20, and then $50. Same with language learning. Between, I want to learn more words, and I want to learn 20 words, you'll do much better with the specific goal. Second, you get to speak more sooner. You can go try the general approach of learning the 2,000 most common words, but that will take a long time and it won't get you speaking any faster. But if you pick a specific topic and get all the words and phrases for it, you'll be much better off. 3. So you know what to focus on. Again, knowing what to focus on helps you learn and progress faster. Otherwise, if you're just going through a textbook with no specific goal in mind, you'll spend months on learning a language and never see any real progress. So remember, the more specific you are with what you want, the more likely you'll get it, because you'll know exactly what you're looking for. This is why we tell you to set small, measurable, meaning specific, monthly goals. Now, what kind of topics should you pick? That depends on you and your hobbies and interests. You can also start with common topics, like talking about yourself, your family, the weather, or your weekend plans. But to make it easy for you, here's what you can do. 1. Download our free PDF conversation task list. Pick a topic to start with, for example, talking about your family. Then, take lessons inside our learning program based on that topic. You'll learn practical conversations that you can use in real life. And as a result, you'll be able to talk more about your family. 2. Take 5 or 10 minutes and write out other lines that you'd want to use, either in that conversation or questions that someone may ask you, and get them translated with the help of our Premium Plus teacher. 3. Come up with your own topics that are interesting to you. Then repeat step 2. Come up with all the phrases, questions, and answers that could come up in that conversation. Write them out and get them translated with your Premium Plus teacher. Or translate them with a translation software. You could try this, and it might not be perfect, but it could help you start and get you speaking a little bit more of your target language. The goal here is to be able to talk more about a specific topic, and as a result, speak more of your target language. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about what's your real reason for learning a language? If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way, and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! If you're learning a new language, there will be times when you'll struggle with the lesson, when you won't fully understand what you've learned, when you'll be in a rut, or when you just won't feel like you're making any progress. And that's totally normal. In this video, you'll learn what to do if you're not learning, and how to overcome language learning struggles. Let's begin. Number 1. Understand the mindset of a successful learner. Some learners are more successful than others. A key difference between successful learners and less successful learners is in the way they approach problems. Some learners rely completely on a learning program. If there's a grammar rule or word they don't understand, they get frustrated and blame the program. They don't look for solutions. Successful learners approach problems a little differently. If they encounter a problem, they look for a solution or ask for help instead of getting frustrated. You may feel frustrated at times, especially if you're a beginner, but how you choose to react will make all the difference. Number 2, set small, measurable, realistic goals with a deadline. Most learners fail because they set big, vague goals, like, I want to be fluent. When they realize they have no idea how to do that, they lose motivation and quit. The solution to this? Set small, measurable, realistic goals with a deadline. For example, finish 10 audio lessons by the end of this week. Learn 20 words by the end of this week. Speak 1 minute of conversation by the end of this month. Listen to lessons for just 5 minutes a day, every day this month. Now your goals are small and realistic enough to accomplish. They're specific and measurable, so you know when you reach them, and the deadline gives you a finish line. For example, either you learned all 20 words by Friday or you didn't. When you reach your goal, you gain a ton of confidence. This improves your chances of reaching your next goal because you've had experience reaching a goal and you understand the things you need to do to be successful. Number 3, read along with the lesson notes and lesson transcripts. Now, what if you're doing a lesson but you can't catch a word? Take advantage of the lesson notes and lesson transcripts and read along with the lesson. The lesson notes give you in-depth grammar and vocabulary explanations that are not available in the lesson. And the lesson notes give you the word-for-word transcript of everything said in the lesson. So if you want to pick up every word, read the transcript. Number 4, review, because repetition is the mother of all learning. If you're struggling with a particular word, grammar rule, or lesson, be sure to repeat and review it a few times. And then, come back a few days later and review it again. This same principle is used in our spaced repetition flashcards. The system quizzes you on words, then re-quizzes you in 3 days, then in 6 days, and so on. until the word gets embedded in your long-term memory. Some things you can do right now are download the lesson and lesson notes, save the words to your word bank, or even write down the words or grammar rules. Then come back to review them later. Number 5. Reach out to our teachers and ask questions. If you're a Premium Plus member, you can easily get in touch with your teacher and get all of your points of confusion cleared up. Or you can always leave a comment on our lessons, and our teachers will get back to you. Remember, you're not alone. If you're struggling with a lesson, you can always get in touch with us. Number 6. Take a break and go do something else. Another thing you can do is take a break and do something else that doesn't require much thinking. There's a reason our best ideas come while in the shower or while taking a walk. While you're on a break, your brain is more relaxed and starts making connections that you couldn't see when you were focused and stressed out. It's also why coming back to review things with a fresh mind can help you better understand the lessons you've taken. Number 7. Downgrade your learning routine. If you're studying for 30 minutes a day and find yourself overwhelmed, or if you suddenly find yourself busy, the best thing to do is to reduce your study routine to something easier and more manageable. If you've been learning 30 minutes a day, drop down to 10 or 15 minutes. Even 5 minutes is good enough because language learning success comes with consistency. Quitting and coming back every 3 months won't work. This brings us to our next point. Number 8. Remember, learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Think about it. You can't cram for 5 hours and expect to remember everything you've studied. So just like with a marathon, it's okay to go slow and at your own pace, even if you're learning for just 5 minutes a day. Similarly, if you're having trouble understanding a grammar point or a lesson, don't let it bring you down. Learning a language is a marathon, a long-term game. The little points of confusion you have now are just small obstacles, and you'll fully understand them with time. So, if you're ready to finally learn a new language the fast, fun, and easy way, sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Signing up takes less than 30 seconds, and you'll start speaking from your very first lesson. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! When learning a new language, we sometimes have a hard time with things like procrastination, discouragement, or failure. But don't panic. With a good strategy, you'll be able to overcome these difficulties. Are you ready to discover the 4 habits of successful learners? Number 1. Optimize your time. When learning a language, it's important to dedicate time to your studies regularly, even if sometimes it's difficult. You're busy with school, work, family, or friends, but you can spread out your learning throughout the day. Study whenever you have small gaps of time in your busy schedule. This can be when you're on the metro, on your lunch break, or while you're exercising. Our podcast learning format fits perfectly into your tight schedule. Number 2. Consistency with your chosen method. There are a lot of options when it comes to courses and learning materials. Switching from one method to another can confuse you and disrupt your progress. Focusing on one learning method will make a difference. Our method has been created and optimized by real teachers, so you can stick to it with confidence. Number 3. Use your language background. Many languages share some commonalities. You can find words that look or sound similar, or even share the same grammar structure. A little bit of language background will give you an edge while learning. Number 4. Study continuously. People are excited when they start learning a new language. The enthusiasm usually lasts until the first roadblock. This can lead to discouragement and procrastination. But don't burn yourself out. Learning a language is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't try to learn it all at once. Break things down into more digestible chunks. Learning step by step might feel slow, but it's an efficient way to learn a language. With patience, motivation, and good resources, you'll master the language. Remember, you can't learn a language overnight, but with motivation and these daily lessons, you'll be on the road to fluency. Give it a try now. Sign up for your account. Just click the link in the description.
Hi everybody, Stefania here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Greek questions. The question for this lesson is, are the nouns for professions the same for the masculine and feminine gender? The answer is, not always. You may have seen nouns of professions such as γιατρός, doctor, and δικηγόρος, lawyer, that remain the same for the masculine and feminine gender. For some of those, the reason is that in the past, it was unthinkable for women to become doctors or lawyers. So today, some professions use the masculine form for the feminine gender as well. However, there are many professions that have their own feminine forms as well. The percentage is around 50-50. Are there any rules that help us convert a masculine profession noun into the feminine form? Actually, no. Learning the feminine profession noun is a matter of memorization. Apart from the nouns that are identical for the two genders, there are three ways that the feminine profession nouns are created. Number 1. By replacing the masculine ending with the feminine one. For example, ο αθλητής, η αθλήτρια, athlete. Number 2. By using a completely different word. For example, ο κουρέας, η κομμότρια, barber, hairdresser. Number 3. Periphrastically. For example, οι γυναίκες πιλότοι, female pilots. This is used mainly for the plural feminine versions of the two gendered nouns because, although in singular the article helps distinguish the genders, for example, ο πιλότος, masculine, η πιλότος, feminine, in plural the article is identical for the two genders, οι πιλότοι, masculine and feminine. Here are some sample sentences. Όταν μεγαλώσει, θέλει να γίνει αθλητής. When he grows up, he wants to become an athlete. Είναι δύσκολο να βρεις μια καλή κομμότρια. It's difficult to find a good hairdresser. Now, let's see some common feminine profession noun endings. The first category we shall see are the masculine os ending profession nouns. Here, the vast majority of the nouns are identical for both genders. For the rest, some common feminine endings are ίσα, like ο καπετάνιος, η καπετάνισσα, captain. Ίνα, like ο αστυνομικός, η αστυνομικίνα, police officer. And a, like ο νοσοκόμος, η νοσοκόμα, nurse. The endings ίσα and ίνα are sometimes alternative endings. However, they sound very informal and sometimes they are inappropriate for standard or formal speech. For example, it's more common to say η αστυνομικός than η αστυνομικίνα, police officer. Here are some sample sentences. Ο καπετάνιος είναι ο τελευταίος που εγκαταλείπει το πλοίο. The captain is the last to abandon the ship. Όλες οι νοσοκόμες ήταν καλές μαζί μου. All the nurses were nice to me. The second category are the masculine as ending profession nouns. Here, around 1/3 of the nouns are identical for both genders, and more than half are masculine nouns that end in istas, which form feminine versions in either ista or istria, like ο αρτίστας, η αρτίστα, artist, and ο γραφίστας, η γραφίστρια, graphic designer. Only a few feminine nouns of this category may end in isa. The final category is the masculine is ending nouns. Here, the masculine nouns that end in tis and that they derive from a verb form feminine nouns ending in tria, like ο εργάτης, η εργάτρια, worker, deriving from the verb εργάζομαι, to work. Furthermore, the masculine nouns that end in dzis form their feminine counterparts in dzou, like ο ταξιτζής, η ταξιτζού, taxi driver. The rest usually form the feminine nouns ending in isa. A few have the alternative scholarly ida and is endings, while some share the same form. Here are some sample sentences. Οι εργάτες κάνουν απεργία. The workers are on a strike. Η επαγγελματίας γραφίστρια σχεδιάζει ένα λογότυπο. The professional graphic designer is designing a logo. Of course, not all professions are expressed with single noun words. There are many professions that consist of either two nouns or an adjective and a noun. In the first case, the feminine versions of both nouns rely on what we discussed in this video. For example, ο αναπληρωτής καθηγητής becomes η αναπληρώτρια καθηγήτρια, substitute teacher. In the second case, the adjective will always agree in gender with a noun. For example, ο κοινωνικός λειτουργός, η κοινωνική λειτουργός, social worker. How was the lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, Stefania here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Greek questions. The question for this lesson is, which numbers get inflected and which don't? This is a question that all new learners have as soon as they start studying Greek, since numbers are some of the first vocabulary words they need to know. However, on a grammatical level, some of these words get inflected and some don't. So learning how to use them properly in speech is not as simple as it is in English. You have to become familiar with the declension system first, so mastering these words might take some time. This lesson is here to help you a bit. Let's go into more detail. First, let's see some details about the cardinal numbers. Those are considered adjectives in Greek, so they need to agree in gender, number, and case with the noun they define. For example, μία μύγα, feminine numeral and noun. One fly, not ένα μύγα, neuter numeral, feminine noun. Sounds complicated? Let's start with the easy stuff. The numbers that have only one form for all genders and cases. Those are the number 2 and the numbers 5 through 100. For example, χρειάζομαι 5 πιάτα ακόμη. I need 5 more plates. The numbers 1, 3, and 4, as well as all numbers that end in those digits, such as 13, 21, 1003, and so on, have 3 genders and they get inflected. So do the numbers for the hundreds from 200 and on, and the number for 1000. For example, έχω 3 παιδιά. I have 3 children. Now let's see how the numbers 1, 3, and 4 are inflected. Ο ένας, του ενός, τον έναν, for the masculine one. Η μία or η μια, της μίας or της μιας, τη μία or τη μια, for the feminine. And το ένα, του ενός, το ένα, for the neuter. Οι τρεις των τριών, τους or τις τρεις, for the masculine and feminine three. And τα τρία των τριών, τα τρία, for the neuter. Οι τέσσερις των τεσσάρων, τους or τις τέσσερις, for the masculine and feminine four. And τα τέσσερα των τεσσάρων, τα τέσσερα, for the neuter. The articles are not always needed, and sometimes the nouns are omitted. In that case, the context will help you use the right gender and case. For example, πόσους βόλους έχεις? How many marbles do you have? 3. 3. Πόσα άτομα είστε? How many people in your party? 3. 3. Here are some sample sentences. Βλέπω 3 γυναίκες. I see 3 women. 3 στους 4 απάντησαν αρνητικά. 3 out of 4 gave a negative answer. Next, let's see how the hundreds and 1000 are inflected. These follow the declension model of the adjectives that end in os, I, o in the masculine, feminine, and neuter gender, but only in the plural. As an example, let's see the declension of 200. Οι 200 των 200, τους 200 for the masculine, οι 200 των 200, τις 200 for the feminine, and τα 200 των 200, τα 200 for the neuter. Note that the accent mark moves one position to the right in the genitive case. The declension for 1000 uses the same endings and accentuation. Οι χίλιοι των χιλίων, τους χίλιους for the masculine, οι χίλιες των χιλίων, τις χίλιες for the feminine, and τα χίλια των χιλίων, τα χίλια for the neuter. For multiple thousands, we use the feminine noun χιλιάδες, literally meaning thousands, and the corresponding feminine cardinal number before it. For example, 3.000 παιδιά, 3,000 kids. Finally, the numbers 0, 1 million, 1 billion, and so on are actually neuter nouns and are declined like this. Το μηδέν, του μηδενός, το μηδέν, for 0. Το εκατομμύριο, του εκατομμυρίου, το εκατομμύριο. Τα εκατομμύρια των εκατομμυρίων, τα εκατομμύρια, for million. And το δισεκατομμύριο, του δισεκατομμυρίου, το δισεκατομμύριο. Τα δισεκατομμύρια των δισεκατομμυρίων, τα δισεκατομμύρια, for billion. Here are some sample sentences. Το αυτοκίνητο κοστίζει 21.000 ευρώ. The car costs 21,000 euros. Οι αστέρες του Hollywood πληρώνονται $1,000,000 για κάθε ταινία. Hollywood stars get paid millions of dollars for every movie. If you are wondering which gender to use with the cardinal numbers when you count abstractly, you should be using the neuter gender. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100, 101, 1001, 1.000.000, 2.000.000, and so on. There's more to Greek numbers than what we discussed in this lesson. For more information, go to GreekPod101.com and listen to the lessons 17 and 18 of the Intermediate series, which cover everything there is to know about numbers. How was the lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, Stefania here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Greek questions. The question for this lesson is, why does the word poli sometimes have different forms? This is something I get asked a lot. What you need to know about poli is that there are two types. First, there's the adverb poli, meaning very, very much, or a lot. And second, there's the declinable adjective o polis, I poli, to poli, in the masculine, feminine, and neuter gender respectively, meaning many for measurable things, or much for non-measurable things, like the noun knowledge, for example. Let's go into more detail. First, let's see the first type, where poli is an adverb. In this case, it is not declined, and it can be used in combination with verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and participles. For example, χιονίζει πολύ, verb plus πολύ, it's snowing a lot. Τρώω πολύ γρήγορα, πολύ plus adverb, I eat very fast. Είναι πολύ καλός άνθρωπος, πολύ plus adjective, he is a very good man. Είναι πολύ εκνευρισμένος, πολύ plus participle, he is very irritated. Many people, including native Greeks, misspell it because they confuse the adverb with the adjective o polis, I poli, to poli, meaning many or much. Here are some sample sentences. Σ' αγαπώ πολύ. I love you very much. Το ίντερνετ εδώ είναι πολύ αργό. The internet here is very slow. Following up, the adjective is declined in all three genders and is always used to define a noun. Therefore, it always needs to agree with the noun's gender, number, and case. Let's see some sample sentences. Εδώ υπάρχει πολύς θόρυβος. There is too much noise here. Τρώω πολύ σοκολάτα. I eat a lot of chocolate. Πέφτει πολύ χιόνι. It's snowing a lot. Έχεις πολλούς μαρκαδόρους. You have many markers. Η Μαρία έχει πολλές τσάντες. Mary has many handbags. Έχω πολλά παιδιά. I have many children. Keep in mind that in the plural, the adjective is spelled with double lambda. For example, σου το είπα πολλές φορές. I told you many times. And πέρασαν πολλά χρόνια από τότε. Many years pass by ever since. If you are unsure of which type of poli to use, just think of the word that it will be defining. If it's a noun, then you need to use the adjective type in the correct form. If it will be used to define any other word, then you need to use the indeclinable adverb. How was the lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, Stefania here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Greek questions. The question for this lesson is, why does the word λίγο sometimes have different forms? Just like with the word poli that we saw in the previous lesson, λίγο has two types as well. First, there's the adverb λίγο, meaning a little or a bit. And second, there's the declinable adjective ο λίγος, η λίγη, το λίγο, in the masculine, feminine, and neuter gender, respectively, meaning a little bit, some, for non-measurable things, like the noun love, for example, and a few for countable things. Let's go into more detail. First, let's see the first type, where λίγο is an adverb. In this case, it is not declined and it can be used in combination with verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and participles. Some examples are βρέχει λίγο, verb plus λίγο. It's raining a little. Περπατάς λίγο γρήγορα. Λίγο plus adverb. You walk a bit fast. Το φαγητό είναι λίγο πικάντικο. Λίγο plus adjective. The food is a bit spicy. Ήταν λίγο λυπημένος. Λίγο plus participle. He was a bit sad. This adverb can also be expressed in the diminutive form λιγάκι to mean a little bit. For example, η θάλασσα είναι λιγάκι κρύα. Λιγάκι plus adjective. The sea is a little bit cold. Here are some more sample sentences. Περίμενε με λίγο. Wait for me a little. And δεν είναι λίγο ακριβό. Isn't it a bit expensive? In the second case, where λίγο is an adjective, it is declined in all three genders, masculine, feminine, and neuter, and it is always used to define a noun, so it always needs to agree with the noun's gender, number, and case. Let's see some examples. Υπάρχει λίγος κόσμος εδώ. There are a few people here. Πέφτει λίγη βροχή. It's raining a little. Τρώμε λίγο φαγητό. We are having some food. Η εταιρεία αυτή έχει λίγους υπαλλήλους. This company has a few employees. Έχω λίγες φούστες στην γαρνταρόμπα μου. I have a few skirts in my wardrobe. Καταλαβαίνω λίγα ελληνικά. I understand a little Greek. Here are some more sample sentences. Ρίξε λίγο αλάτι παραπάνω στη σούπα. Add a little bit more salt to the soup. And πάρε λίγες κόλλες χαρτί και μοίρασέ τες. Take a few sheets of paper and pass them around. Basically, if you are not sure which type of λίγο to use, just think of the word that it will be defining. If it is a noun, then you need to use the adjective type in the correct form. If it will be used to define any other word, then you need to use the indeclinable adverb. How was the lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, Stefania here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Greek questions. The question for this lesson is, when should you use the personal pronoun μου in genitive, and when do you use με in accusative? Weak personal pronouns such as μου in genitive or με in accusative, both meaning me, will usually come before a verb or after a gerund or a verb in the imperative, and will denote a direct or indirect object. The vast majority of Greek transitive verbs require a direct object in the accusative, although there are a few verbs that require a direct object in genitive. So whether you use μου or με for a single direct object depends on the type of verb you have. Let's go into more detail. First, let's see which type of verbs get a direct object in genitive. Verbs of expression, like απευθύνομαι, to address, γνέφω, to wave, nod, εξομολογούμε, to confess, λέω, to say, μιλάω, to talk, and χαμογελώ, to smile. Verbs of sensations like αρέσω, to like, βρωμάω, to stink, ξυνίζω, to be sour, and μυρίζω, to smell. Verbs of ownership like ανήκω, to belong, and βρίσκομαι, to have, normally meaning to be located. Verbs that denote an association, like αναλογώ, to correspond, μοιάζω, to look like, and ταιριάζω, to match. Verbs that denote modality, like αξίζω, to deserve, and χρειάζομαι, to need. Some examples are μου λέει, he, she, it, tells me. Μου αρέσει, I like. Μου αξίζει, I deserve. Here is a sample sentence. Μου μυρίζει ένα ωραίο άρωμα. I smell a nice perfume. This direct object in genitive can usually be replaced by a similar prepositional phrase using a preposition such as με, with, σε, to, in, on, at, or από, from, etc., plus accusative. For example, αυτός μου λέει, he tells me, is the same as αυτός λέει σε εμένα. Here the personal pronoun changes from the weak form μου to the strong form εμένα after the preposition. A sample sentence with a similar prepositional phrase is Αυτό ανήκει σε εμένα. This belongs to me. This can also be rephrased as Αυτό μου ανήκει, using a weak personal pronoun in genitive and still mean the same thing. Now, with any other transitive verbs apart from those special ones that I mentioned before, we use the weak personal pronouns in accusative as a direct object when needed. For example, με βλέπεις, you see me. Με ενοχλείς, you annoy me. Με ακουμπάς, you touch me. In addition to having a single direct object, some verbs get an indirect object as well. For those, if the direct object is not a phrase, it will always be in accusative, even if the verb is one of those that require a direct object in genitive. The indirect object can then be, number 1, in genitive or a similar prepositional phrase. Number 2, another accusative. Let's see an example. Μου λέει μια ιστορία. She is telling me a story. Here, μια ιστορία, a story, is the direct object in accusative answering to what, and μου is the indirect object in genitive answering to whom. Μου could also be replaced by the prepositional phrase σε εμένα, to me, without changing the meaning. Λέει μια ιστορία σε εμένα. She's telling a story to me. Here are some more sample sentences. Ο κηπουρός μου φροντίζει τον κήπο. The gardener is cleaning the garden for me. Οι γονείς μου μου δίνουν χαρτζηλίκι. My parents give me pocket money. You may be wondering now, how can you know which case to use with your indirect object pronoun? It depends on the verb, as some verbs require the genitive and some others the accusative. Let's see an example. The nurse is feeding me soup. If you are not sure whether to say η νοσοκόμα με ταΐζει σούπα or η νοσοκόμα μου ταΐζει σούπα, a relatively safe tip is to try replacing me with a matching prepositional phrase like to me and see if it sounds right. If it doesn't, like in this case, don't use a genitive like μου. Instead, use an accusative like με or its strong form εμένα. So the correct sentence is η νοσοκόμα με ταΐζει σούπα or η νοσοκόμα ταΐζει εμένα σούπα. Remember, a weak object pronoun in accusative like με can usually be replaced by its equivalent strong form in accusative like εμένα, while a weak pronoun object in genitive like μου can be replaced by a preposition plus its equivalent strong form in accusative like σε εμένα, to me. Here are some related sample sentences. Η κυρία Αγγελίδου διδάσκει εμένα ιστορία. Mrs. Αγγελίδου teaches me history. Η κυρία Αγγελίδου με διδάσκει ιστορία. Mrs. Αγγελίδου teaches me history. Sometimes using the wrong case changes the meaning of what you are trying to say, resulting in interesting sentences. For example, σου μαγειρεύω, I cook for you. Su in genitive here indicates an indirect object as it is implied that I'm cooking for you something else, a direct object, like food, which is omitted here. But if we had σε μαγειρεύω, where σε is in accusative case, indicating a direct object, the meaning changes to I'm cooking you. So if you don't want to sound like a cannibal, make sure you use the right case in a sentence like that. How was the lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, Stefania here. Welcome to Ask a Teacher, where I'll answer some of your most common Greek questions. The question for this lesson is, why do some words get 2 accent marks? Greek has a golden rule. All words get accented in one of the 3 last syllables. Monosyllabic words are naturally stressed when pronounced, so we don't accentuate them. although there are a few exceptions. But sometimes, before some specific monosyllabic words, other monosyllabic words do get accented, while some polysyllabic words get a second accent mark. When this happens, we pronounce these words closely together, stressing all the accented syllables. This phenomenon of developing an extra stress is called enclisis, and the monosyllabic words that cause this are called enclitics. Let's go into more detail. First, let's see which monosyllabic words are enclitic words. In modern Greek, those are the weak forms of the personal and possessive pronouns, such as me, mu, se, su, ton, tu, tin, tis, to, mas, sas, tus, tis, tes, and ta. Although these monosyllabic pronouns normally don't get an accent mark in written speech, except for some special cases that we mentioned in our previous video, we do stress them in oral speech. When these words cause enclisis, their stress moves to the last syllable of the word before them. Let's see some examples. Η πρόοδος του είναι αξιοσημείωτη. His progress is remarkable. Η γειτόνισσά μου είναι πολύ ενοχλητική. My neighbor is so annoying. So now let's see when enclisis happens. The first case is when we have a proparoxyton noun or adjective, in other words, a noun or adjective accented in the third to last syllable, followed by a monosyllabic possessive pronoun such as mu, su, tu, my, yours, his, etc. Then the stress of these pronouns moves to the last syllable of the proparoxyton word, so we add a second accent mark over that syllable. The two words are then pronounced closely together, stressing the two accented syllables. For example, το παράθυρό μου, my window. Let's see a sample sentence. Η γη γυρίζει γύρω από τον άξονά της. Earth rotates on its axis. Note that the personal pronouns in genitive can also cause enclisis after a proparoxyton adjective in the comparative and relative superlative degree. For example, χειρότερός μου, worse than me. Ο χειρότερός μας, the worst from us. Here's a sample sentence. Ο Λάκης είναι ο μεγαλύτερός μας. Lakis is the oldest of us. The second case of enclisis is when we have a proparoxyton gerund or verb in the imperative, followed by a weak personal pronoun which works as an object in the phrase. For example, μοίρασέ τα, share them, and βλέποντάς την, seeing her. Here are some sample sentences. Μάζεψέ το αυτό που πέταξες κάτω. Pick up what you dropped. Δεν καταλαβαίνω τι μου λες. Γράψε μου το. I don't understand what you are saying. Write it for me. The third case is when we have a proparoxyton adverb followed by an enclitic word. For example, απέναντί σου, opposite from you. Finally, I should mention another case of enclisis, which is when we have a paroxyton imperative, in other words, accented in the second to last syllable, followed by two personal pronouns that work as objects. For example, δώσε τους το, give it to them. Here, the stress of the last pronoun, which is to, moves to the previous syllable, which is the pronoun tu. The logic is that the basic stress of the word δώσε is more than 3 syllables away from the end of this group, that is closely pronounced as if it's one word, breaking the golden rule I mentioned at the beginning. So we need to add an additional stress in order to make the speech sound natural. That extra stress is marked with an accent mark, despite the fact that it falls on a monosyllabic word. How was the lesson? Pretty interesting, right? Do you have any more questions? Leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. Γεια χαρά!
Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Δηλαδή, αυτό δεν είναι το αεροδρόμιο της Αθήνας.
Αυτό είναι το αεροδρόμιο της Αθήνας, όμως η περιοχή αυτή δεν είναι Αθήνα.
Και το κέντρο είναι πολύ μακριά από εδώ.
Περισσότερο από μια ώρα. Εδώ είναι Ελλάδα.
Now you will hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Αυτό δεν είναι.
This is not.
Κοπέλα.
Girl, girlfriend.
Κέντρο.
Center, downtown.
Είναι.
Is,
Μακριά.
far,
Από.
from.
Εδώ.
Here,
Περισσότερο.
more.
Μια ώρα.
1 hour.
Τώρα.
Now.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Δηλαδή, αυτό δεν είναι το αεροδρόμιο της Αθήνας.
Αυτό είναι το αεροδρόμιο της Αθήνας, όμως η περιοχή αυτή δεν είναι Αθήνα.
Και το κέντρο είναι πολύ μακριά από εδώ.
Περισσότερο από μια ώρα. Εδώ είναι Ελλάδα.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Πέτρα, τέλος. Ώρα για φαγητό. Θα συνεχίσουμε αύριο.
Αύριο? Γιατί, Δήμητρα?
Δεν θα δουλέψουμε πολύ μετά το φαγητό.
Οπότε, ας μην φάμε πολύ.
Αστιεύεσαι,
Now you will hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Τέλος.
The end. That's it.
Ώρα.
Hour. Time.
Συνεχίζω.
To continue. Keep. Proceed.
Αύριο.
Tomorrow.
Γιατί.
Why? Because.
Δουλειά.
Work.
Πολύ.
Much. Great. Very.
Ας φάμε. Ας μη φάμε.
Let's eat. Let's not eat.
Αστιεύεσαι.
You're kidding.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Πέτρα, τέλος. Ώρα για φαγητό. Θα συνεχίσουμε αύριο.
Αύριο? Γιατί, Δήμητρα?
Δεν θα δουλέψουμε πολύ μετά το φαγητό.
Οπότε, ας μην φάμε πολύ.
Αστιεύεσαι,
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson. Are you struggling to understand conversations in your target language? This video will improve your listening skills using practice dialogues. How do you know if your language skills are improving? Our team of teachers have designed a free quiz to determine your actual learning level. So click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for you. In this lesson, you'll listen to a dialogue with the text. Second, you'll review the key vocabulary, followed by the English translations. And finally, you'll review the dialogue with the text again to master what you learned. First, listen to the dialogue with the text on the screen.
Πήρε κανείς τηλέφωνο την ώρα του φαγητού?
Πήραν από το γραφείο του πελάτη που είδατε το πρωί. Είναι για κάτι σχετικό με κάποια λεπτομέρεια της προσφοράς μας.
Άφησαν κάποιο τηλέφωνο?
Όχι. Είπα να καλέσετε στο τηλεφωνικό κέντρο της εταιρείας.
Now you'll hear the key vocabulary, followed by the English translation.
Τηλέφωνο.
Telephone.
Πελάτης.
Client. Customer.
Γραφείο.
Office.
Πρωί.
Morning.
Λεπτομέρεια.
Detail.
Προσφορά.
Offer.
Αριθμός.
Number.
Εταιρεία.
Company.
Παίρνω.
To take. Call on the telephone.
Finally, let's review the dialogue again. See if you can understand more this time.
Πήρε κανείς τηλέφωνο την ώρα του φαγητού?
Πήραν από το γραφείο του πελάτη που είδατε το πρωί. Είναι για κάτι σχετικό με κάποια λεπτομέρεια της προσφοράς μας.
Άφησαν κάποιο τηλέφωνο?
Όχι. Είπα να καλέσετε στο τηλεφωνικό κέντρο της εταιρείας.
This is the end of the lesson. In this lesson, you improved your listening and mastered key vocabulary for everyday life conversation. Don't forget to click the link in the description to get your free assessment and unlock lessons that are right for your learning level. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Do you feel like you don't speak enough Greek? That you need to know more words? Then stick around. With these lessons, you'll pick up some of the most common words in just a few minutes. Now, this video is a small portion of our learning program. To get the full lessons, translations, and Fluency Fast study tools, click the link in the description and sign up for your free lifetime account. Hi everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome to Conversational Phrases. In this lesson, you'll learn conversational phrases to answer the question, what are you going to talk about? After watching this video, you'll be able to answer this question and introduce a topic to give a simple speech. Now let's take a look at some conversational phrases.
Listen to the dialogue.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Θα μιλήσω για τα χόμπι μου.
Once more with the English translation.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
What are you going to talk about?
Θα μιλήσω για τα χόμπι μου.
I'm going to talk about my hobbies. First of all, you'll need to learn how to say, what are you going to talk about? That's,
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
listen to it again.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις? Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
This Greek sentence literally translates as, for which thing are you going to talk about? But it means, what are you going to talk about? Now, how do you answer this question? The pattern is
Θα μιλήσω για.
topic. I am going to talk about topic. For example, I'm going to talk about my hobbies.
Θα μιλήσω για τα χόμπι μου. Θα μιλήσω για τα χόμπι μου.
Here are a few more topics you can use with the same pattern. My hobbies.
Τα χόμπι μου. Τα χόμπι μου.
My hobbies.
Τα χόμπι μου.
My favorite food.
Το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό. Το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό.
My favorite food.
Το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό.
My favorite place.
Το αγαπημένο μου μέρος. Το αγαπημένο μου μέρος.
My favorite place.
Το αγαπημένο μου μέρος.
My favorite book.
Το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο. Το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο.
My favorite book.
Το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο.
Let's look at some examples. Listen and repeat or speak along with the native speakers.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό.
What are you going to talk about?
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
I'm going to talk about my favorite food.
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου μέρος.
What are you going to talk about?
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
I'm going to talk about my favorite place.
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου μέρος.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο.
What are you going to talk about?
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
I'm going to talk about my favorite book.
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο.
Okay, now it's your turn. Do you remember how to say, what are you going to talk about?
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Imagine you're going to talk about your favorite food. Do you remember how to say, my favorite food?
Το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό. Το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό.
Say, I'm going to talk about my favorite food.
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό.
Now, answer the question saying you're going to talk about your favorite food.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου φαγητό.
Now, imagine you're going to talk about your favorite place. Do you remember how to say, my favorite place?
Το αγαπημένο μου μέρος. Το αγαπημένο μου μέρος.
Say, I'm going to talk about my favorite place.
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου μέρος.
Now, answer the question saying you're going to talk about your favorite place.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου μέρος.
Now, imagine you're going to talk about your favorite book. Do you remember how to say, my favorite book?
Το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο. Το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο.
Say, I'm going to talk about my favorite book.
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο.
Now, answer the question saying you're going to talk about your favorite book.
Για ποιο πράγμα θα μιλήσεις?
Θα μιλήσω για το αγαπημένο μου βιβλίο.
In this lesson, you learned new vocabulary and phrases you can use in your everyday life to give a simple speech. You're now able to introduce a topic like a native speaker. Start by practicing in the comments below. Tell me and your fellow learners what you are going to talk about in your next speech. Lastly, don't forget to click the link in the description and download your PDF cheat sheets. You'll get useful phrases you need for everyday life for free. See you in the next lesson. Bye! Remember, here's what you can do to learn all of these words by heart. Drill these words with our spaced repetition flashcards, which will help cement these words into your long-term memory. Save them to the word bank, your personal vocabulary collection, where you can print out your own study sheets, or review the words with our looped vocabulary slideshow, and play it until you know all of the words. So click the link in the description right now and sign up for your free lifetime account to get these lessons and study tools. Okay, today's topic is 4 rules for staying motivated with language learning. You're going to learn 1. The mistake people make with motivation, 2. The 4 rules for motivation, and 3. How you can apply the 4 rules to your language learning. Do you wish you were more motivated about language learning? You watch motivational videos, you feel good for a second, but none of it sticks. This lesson may have some tips to help you. First, listen up. Here are this month's new lessons and resources. First, the 24-hour survival phrases cheat sheet. Traveling and want to learn a bit of the language? Then these survival phrases will help you with the first 24 hours. Second, the ultimate listening video master course. How good are your listening skills? Watch this free video master course to more easily understand native speakers. You can download it right now. Third, the 50 most common verbs all beginners must know. Do you know all of these verbs? If not, this lesson will drill the 50 most common verbs into your head. Just use the free audio slideshow tool inside. And fourth, 20 strategies for learning a language at home. Want to learn a language from the comfort of your own home? This 1-minute lesson gives you all the best tactics for learning languages. To get your free resources, click the link in the description below right now. They're yours to keep forever. Okay, let's jump into today's topic. 4 rules for staying motivated with language learning. Want to know how to really stay motivated? Then listen closely to these 4 rules. These rules might be a little different from the advice that you often hear. Ready? Rule number 1, action comes first. Are you the type of person who prefers to make things happen? Or are you the type that waits for things to happen to you? One of the best ways to stay motivated with language learning is to not think about motivation. Instead, take action and start learning. The mistake that most people make is that they have this backwards. They think they should wait to feel motivated first and then start learning. But really, it's the other way around. First, you do a language lesson. You learn a basic conversation. Then you do another. And then you start feeling like you can do more and learn more. You see results. So results bring motivation. Thinking about motivation does not bring motivation. Thinking about motivation is like reading an article about how to go outside for a run instead of actually going outside for a run. So action comes first. Rule number 2, always have an outside influence. It's very easy to lose motivation if you're learning language alone. So what do? Here are some examples. You get a study buddy. You hire a tutor. You join a meetup group. You plan a trip to a country where people speak that language. Or you sign up for a proficiency test, like many language learners do. Why do this? Because now you have other people depending on you. You have outside factors that keep you going with the language. For example, if you signed up for a language proficiency test, you know you have a few months to study and you have to take the test on a certain date. Someone is going to pass or fail you. This is a lot more motivating than learning alone. If you're learning with our program, you can get your own teacher with the Premium Plus plan. They'll hold you accountable, send you homework, and give you feedback. If you have a study buddy, well, now you have someone that expects you to show up and improve. And if they're better than you, that should give you extra motivation because you want to be at their level. So get some outside influence. The next rule is rule number 3. Always have a go-to study method. When you arrive at work or the gym, or when you start your homework, you always have that one thing you do first, right? What do you do? For example, with work, maybe the very first thing you do is check emails. Then you check your tasks for the week. After that, you get started. Well, you need to make the same kind of habits with language learning. You need a go-to study method that you're comfortable with, an easy starting point. And this totally depends on you and your style. Choose something you enjoy. Some people listen to audio lessons. Some people like flashcards. For some people, writing is easy. You can write out song lyrics and translate them. It's up to you. The point is, you should give yourself an easy first step to get you started and get into the flow of learning. If you're learning with our program, you can start with the word of the day email or do a quick 3-minute audio lesson. You can copy out the lesson dialogue, read through the lesson notes, or even easier, just review and re-listen to a lesson you took the day before. If you have your own go-to study method, you're already miles ahead of most learners. Leave a comment and tell us about it. And finally, rule number 4, always be working on something. So here, I want you to stop and think about your friends. Do you have a friend that's always up to something, some project? They're working on a song, or they're making videos. They finish one thing and they start another. Well, if you wonder how they stay motivated, it's because they're always working on something. And this goes back to taking action. If you're not learning or working, you can't stay motivated. So you need to apply this to language learning. How? For example, like I mentioned in part 2 about outside influence, you can make a plan to travel to a country that speaks your target language. Or you can sign up for a language proficiency test. If you do that, you'll have something to look forward to, something to do. If you're traveling, you need to learn travel phrases. If you have a proficiency test coming up, you have to study grammar and do exercises. What else can you do? If you already have a textbook or workbook, make it a goal to finish that book. If you have a learning program, make it a goal to finish it or reach a certain level. If you're using our lessons, make it a goal to finish one learning pathway. Then, when you're done, give yourself something else to do, something to stick with, something to look forward to. So, let's recap. 1. Action comes first. 2. Always have an outside influence. 3. Always have a go-to study method. And 4. Always be working on something. So, thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about how to get a return on your language learning investment. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way, and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone.